What is up, YouTube? I want to get on here, start doing more tutorials. It seems like the tutorials are where the value's at. It's making me better at editing for YouTube, because getting on YouTube was one thing, but editing timelines for YouTube is a whole different workflow than what I'm used to. It's been good. I just want to get on here, make at least some concise, short tutorials as much as I can for you guys, and get them up as often as I can. So bear with me. I had to send my Rode lav mics back. The receiver just was not turning on, and that's a big problem. Rode sucks. But I'm using my shotgun mic. It's up here, just out of frame. On the plus side, it's the end of dry January, and tonight happens to be margarita night, so that I am stoked for. So I recently made this really short video for a buddy of mine. He was applying for a job, and he needed a video showing that he could teach a subject, and we did a short kind of quirky video on algorithms. One of the effects in the video that came out pretty good, or at least I thought it came out pretty good, was this freeze effect. We froze him while he was talking and had himself come back into frame and further explain what he was trying to get across. So I thought I would make like a really quick tutorial and teach you guys how I did it, because it was kind of experimental and it took a little bit of tweaking to get it looking pretty good. It's like a little bit of finesse, stuff you wouldn't necessarily think about, that really seals the effect and makes it pop. I don't know. Oh, well, my light died already. Fucking A, gonna change my light, cause I can't find the adapter and I'm using these batteries. Oh, we back. So let's get into this. I'm working in Final Cut Pro. I don't know what you're working in, but that's what we got. Let's jump in. We got these two clips here. One, Tyler's sitting in a chair. The second clip, he is off to the side. We wanted to try, while we were filming, to keep him from overlapping. He overlapped a little bit, but it's not the biggest deal. We're just gonna have to do a little extra work. But if you could, in camera, keep yourself from overlapping, you might save yourself a little bit of time. The first thing I would say to do, especially while I've been trying to get this YouTube workflow down, is just color grade everything, since it's like, especially if you're shooting like this, you're shooting one scene, you could copy and paste the color grade. If you have multiple clips, color grade first, do your audio first, get it done before you start chopping stuff up. Just a tip that has saved me aggravation, because my first couple YouTube videos, I wanted to pull my non-existent hair out. First thing we want to do, manipulating these clips, is if you look at these two, there's just like a little bit difference. They're not lined up. This is my fault from pressing the camera button, my tripod not set up right. Whatever, maybe use a remote if you're doing this type of shots. What we could do is just, pull these one over the other, change your opacity, right click, click transform. Just find something easy, like this corner of this desk, and just line it up a little more. It's not like a giant problem, because we're gonna do a lot of masking anyway. It's gonna make everything more consistent. What we wanna do next is freeze Tyler. So what we do in Final Cut to do that is create a freeze frame. Hit Option F, and wherever your playhead was sitting, it's gonna create a freeze frame. This freeze frame is, as you can see, frozen, but like you could still drag it out as long as you want to make it. What we want to do is make it as long as our second clip. So drag your second clip on top of this freeze frame. If we change opacity quick, we could see that, like, yeah, Tyler's right behind Tyler there, if that makes any sense. So our problem is we need to mask this, and they happen to be overlapping. So the great thing is we can mask a freeze frame, and there's not going to be a lot of movement. We can mask it once and be done. Sounds like this computer's going to take off. I don't know what I'm going to do if this thing explodes on me. All right, sidebar. We got this freeze frame on the bottom here. We're going to go to masks on the side and click draw mask. You can double click it, or you could drag it onto your clip. What I like to do is make my my clip a lot bigger so I could really see, as well as leave some extra room around the sides so that I could really just see what I'm doing. What I didn't mention is that I shot this during the day. We did not close the windows like we should have. So if you disable this clip, hitting V in Final Cut, you can see that the lighting's a little different. We would have been able to just mask out Tyler, but what we're gonna do is mask out around Tyler and the desk. Disable that clip, click on your freeze frame, get this draw mask going. Quick tip, if you've never masked before, hold down Command and click and drag to create a curve. So that's a little something. Get your mask as good as you can, but don't go crazy because we're gonna feather it in a little bit later. So there we go. Another quick tip, not for this tutorial, but for masking in general. If you're masking frame by frame, do not forget to hit your keyframes after you've masked this first frame. We have one frame since it's a freeze frame, so it doesn't matter. We keep it the same. But if you're masking movement and you forget to hit that control point, you're gonna lose your mind when you go back and realize that you've changed your control points and they don't remember where they were before. So for my sake, for everyone's sake, hit the keyframe button. It's one button. Don't forget. Keyframes. I don't know if I said this before. You actually want your freeze frame on top. All right. So now that we got our freeze frame on top, if we zoom in on our frame here, we want to just feather our mask in so the light's the same. So we're going to feather this in about like 29's looking kind of good. Right here, as you can see, right where he overlaps, we kind of want to tweak this in a little bit. Oh. So up here at the top also, on Tyler's hair here, we can see this little halo. We don't want that either. So we're gonna start pulling these points in a little bit. Since we have this feather, it allows us to pull these points in a little bit until we see that it's pulling his hair out like that. But we don't want that halo to be so noticeable. We're gonna tweak some stuff later to make it even less noticeable, but as much as you can, you don't want him glowing like that. So pull those in a little bit. Make sure that's looking decent from afar here. Click off your draw mask if you want to get a little bit better idea. So that's looking pretty good so far. So to give Frozen Tyler a little bit of a more frozen look, I used Prism effect. So drag that onto your freeze frame. So that's coming on obviously like a little bit strong. I'm gonna drag this down to like 5-ish. I like how this is looking so far, but really we need something to transition our audience from Tyler doing his thing to him being frozen. So what I used for that was a little piece of analog glitch. It looks something like this. I got this from Ezra Cohen. He's insane. He makes some really, really, really quality assets. I can link his stuff below. I've bought some like text animations from him, and but this analog glitch is actually from a free sample pack he put out. I don't know if it's still out. I'll look it up, and if so, I'll link it below. So what you want to do, drag your analog glitch into your timeline. You want to change it to color dodge up here in your blend modes. So this is what it's going to look like when it's overlaid. You want to shrink that down. Ooh, whoa. So you want to shrink these down and put them right over that transition into the frozen. I used a couple clips. What I did on a couple pieces of the analog glitch is mask out just Tyler. So it looks like, you could see here on my timeline, I only have like tiny little 1-frame clips. So it looks like he's glitching out first before the whole screen does. And then he pops in. We got one more piece of analog glitch we drug in for the end section here just to like transition us back into him being unfrozen. In order to really seal the deal on these analog glitches, we're going to need a little bit of sound effects. Static analog 1 from Epidemic Sound. So we're going to just drag those right below our static. Like so.
Large slice of bread and put jelly on it.
So we got those. Brings it all together. We're getting close here. Finally, I want to take everything I've done, just select everything, and then hit Option G. We can just call that whatever, but that's going to nest that all into a compound clip. Now that we've done that, we have one clip housing everything we have here. What I want to do to really just tie everything together on this clip and fix our composition is like a little zoom in, zoom out. You could do it manually through Final Cut. I'm going to use a third-party plugin called AddMotion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag through here, and I'm going to find like the spot I really want to zoom in. So it's going to be where the glitch happens. So I'm going to cut that there. I'm going to drag our AddMotion onto the tutorial clip. I'm going to make sure everything's set to 0. But what I want to do is from A to B, I want to zoom in a little bit, like 142%. I know that's random. And then we're going to kind of drag over to get not frozen Tyler. So what essentially we've done here is just zoomed in a little bit, reframed on unfrozen Tyler, while Tyler is frozen, and just kind of sealed this effect in. What we want to do with AddMotion makes it really easy is find our place where we want to zoom back out, which is our other glitch. We want to cut it there, go to AddMotion, switch it to B to A, and then we will zoom back into our original transforms, which is very convenient. So this is what we got.
Putting peanut butter on one side and jelly on the other side is just a preference of mine. This algorithm can be manipulated in many different ways to reach the same outcome.
There you go. But that's pretty much it. Hopefully that makes sense, because I know that was all over the place, kind of ratchet. If you guys have any advice, anything you'd like to see, any ways I could do these tutorials better, if I'm not being clear, which is probably pretty obvious right now, but I'm working at it to get better, just let me know what I could do to help. Shoot me some questions in the comments. Just let me know. I hope this helped out. I mean, that's all I got for you today, chicos. Thanks for watching.
Another slice of bread and put jelly on it. Putting peanut butter on one side and jelly on the other side is just a preference of mine. This algorithm can be manipulated in many different ways to reach the same outcome. Peanut butter. Next, being jelly. 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 And finally, some bread.